Thanks for tuning into this very special broadcast from Bloomberg Quint. Power as a space has taken the markets by storm in a period when most of the equity indices have not been able to do well. There has been some glimmer of hope for power companies, which is reflected in the way the company's stock prices have behaved as well. But the question mark really is not just about the here and now, but also about what happens over the next couple of years or maybe over the next 5 years to the space and to the businesses. To talk about that and more, Mr. Praveer Sinha of Tata Power joins us right now. Needs no introduction, frankly. Good having you, Mr. Sinha. Thanks so much for taking the time and speaking to us at Bloomberg Quint. This is Neeraj here. I want to split this interaction, Mr. Sinha, into two parts. Firstly, start off with the here and now, and then talk about the strategy from a power business perspective as an industry captain, and then specifically for Tata Power as well. If we can start off with the here and now, the latest piece of news that came out, after which we are talking to, is the Gujarat government accepting the committee report. How do you see the resolution shaping up with other key states and other state electricity boards?
First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Neeraj. Always a pleasure to speak to you and Bloomberg. The first question is something relating to the resolution of Mundra challenges that we have. And this has been going on for last many years, and all the stakeholders, all the procurer states, all the 5 states, and the lenders, and also the consumer groups have been talking that how do we find a solution, and how do we find a solution which is a win-win solution. And I think the High Power Committee, through a process of consultation and consensus, has come up with a very, very good solution, which is for the benefit of all the stakeholders. Based on the report that was submitted by the High Power Committee, Gujarat government went to the Honorable Supreme Court, and Honorable Supreme Court, based on the merit of the case, decided that the PPA can be amended and advised that CERC can examine the amended PPA and based on the merit and law decide on the same. So I think that's where we stand. They also gave a timeline of 8 weeks to conclude the amendment of the PPA and its approval by the Regulatory Commission, in our case CERC. And we expect that all the states within that timeline will submit the revised PPA, and hopefully CERC should be able to examine it and pass orders accordingly. So that's where we stand as of now. Gujarat government has issued the government order, and they have also directed the discom, that is GUVNL, to amend the PPA. And so also on that basis, other state governments are examining the proposal and will be issuing similar government orders and will ask their discoms for the amendment. So we are very hopeful about it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a set of stakeholders and not just shareholders are hopeful for this to pan out positively as well. Mr. Sinha, is there something like an ideal tariff hike that, I mean, maybe for your company or for the industry at large, that is needed for the plants to be able to break even?
I don't think there is a single solution for all plants, and one needs to look at it based on what are their individual challenges. In our case, it was admitted that this is one of the lowest cost of power, notwithstanding the fact that some revision will take place. Even then it remains lowest. And we saw that in most of the states, more than 60% of the power that they would be procuring would be at a higher cost, even with the revised PPA that they will have. Over and above that, there are a number of other incentives that has been offered. One is that the plant availability will increase from 80% to 90%, and that means you get additional 10% power at just nearly variable cost. Similarly, the PPA term has been extended from 25 years to 35 years, and thereby again an opportunity is there by the discoms to have a very, very long term of PPA, and also the cost of power will again remain virtually at the variable cost. So In all, this has been a very fair arrangement, and the benefits, if you do it on an NPV basis, to the discoms is much higher than the benefits that has gone to the power producers. So I think one has to look at each of the proposals, whether it is the imported coal-based plants which have been resolved by government of Gujarat, or any other place, as to where it stacks in terms of merit order, where it stacks in terms of it being much more beneficial to the state discoms and the consumers. And I think that is the principle on which the government have to take a decision.
Okay, the next set of questions, Mr. Sinha, some binary events with regards to Tata Power, and would want your view. In fact, the institutional analyst community wanted, have a set of questions which I thought are best put to you, and therefore would appreciate some thoughts from you. Firstly, the Mumbai Circle. Now, you are present in power generation, transmission, distribution. I presume for some of the generation assets in Trombay, some of them are due for PPAs because the PPAs might be expiring and might due for renewal. Now, what's the probability of these PPAs getting renewed? And should that not happen, what happens to the operations at Tata Power? Because now you do have a fairly strong, even the earlier competition was strong, but a stronger hand in Adani being competing with you in the Mumbai Circle.
When we look at Mumbai, we need to look at that Mumbai is an island, and there are very few power lines which are coming into Mumbai city because the nature of its location. You have water bodies, you have mangroves, you have forest area, and it's not possible to bring large quantity of power from outside Mumbai. Fortunately, Mumbai has been blessed with embedded generation, which is the generation of Trombay plant and the hydropower plants. And it has been catering to the requirement of Mumbai city for last more than 100 years. And this is a blessing in disguise, because had it not been there, Mumbai would have suffered huge amount of power cuts and load shedding. And this has been admitted by the Load Dispatch Center as well as the Central Electricity Authority in their various reports, that Mumbai's transmission capability being very restrictive, it is very important that these plants continue to operate. Moreover, what we have seen, that even when BEST and others have gone for bidding for power into Mumbai city to meet their requirement, at that time also the cost of power, and this is the hybrid power from the thermal generation from Trombay as well as from the hydro, is much lower. So whether we look at it technically, we look at it commercially, the embedded generation of Trombay plants as well as the hydro plants continues to be savior for Mumbai city. And we have, in our discussions with BEST, seen that they are keen to pursue this and extend the PPA for another 5 years, and also see that how they ensure that on a sustained basis they continue to get power from these plants. So I think we need to look at the positive side of it, both technically and commercially, and embedded generation will be a necessity for a metropolis like Mumbai, and I'm sure Tata Power will continue to supply electricity to the consumers of Mumbai.
Consumer, and I'm hoping that too, but I'm guessing, Mr. Sinha, that the base case is that the PPAs will get renewed. At least you are working with that.
That's what we have been told. Yeah, that's what what we have been informed by BEST, and that's what is their affidavit also before the MERC Commission.
Okay. Speaking of distribution, now, unlike Bombay and Delhi, the franchisee model that you've kind of embarked upon in Rajasthan, great business to get into, you made small steps there. How can that piece enlarge? Because almost everybody who analyzes the power business, and your company in particular as well, is very happy with this move that has happened. Do you think that there is a realistic chance of expanding what you've done in Rajasthan into a lot of other circles over the course of the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Definitely, Rajasthan has been a great experience, and as has been the Delhi experience. Delhi is a public-private partnership whereby Tata Power has 51 and Delhi government has 49. Over the last 16 years, we have been able to reduce the losses from 53% to nearly 8%. By doing so, the losses, the financial support and the write-off that Delhi government used to do to the then existing DVB reduced by nearly 1500 to 2000 crores, and a saving of nearly 30,000 crores has accrued to Delhi government because of this, and that is the reason they could spend large amount of money in the metro rail and the other infrastructure development in Delhi. Even in Ajmer, what we are seeing is that in last 1.5 years since we took over, the losses has come down from 22% to 12%, and there is a huge benefit financially that is accruing to government of Rajasthan. We expect after the elections are over and maybe after the parliament elections, more cities in Rajasthan will go. I am told that many other states are also coming up with proposals either for public-private partnership or franchisee. I am told that UP and Jharkhand, Odisha has already come with a PPP proposal for the CESU, and the bidding has already taken place, and we expect some results in next 2-3 months. So I think all in all, most of the states would be going for the either a privatization model or a franchisee model, or a model in which the billing collection solutions and the smart metering is outsourced. We feel that Tata Power has the requisite experience, has the domain knowledge, and understands the technology integration, which requires not only to improve the efficiency and the reliability of power, but also to give a huge consumer experience to the customers over there. We have actually played a very, very critical role in improving India's ranking in ease of doing business. One of the parameters is getting electricity. And in the last
Sinha,
3 years, India's ranking in that from 137.
Mr. Sinha, sorry, if I can intervene.
Come. So I think...
if I can just intervene, I have no doubts about the credentials of you getting it. The question mark only is how much appetite do you have to bag many more such circles in Rajasthan?
We have a very good bench strength with us. And as these opportunities do not require large amount of investment, because these are ongoing businesses where you need to bring in technology and you need to do a bit of network improvement. So I think we have huge appetite, and we are looking at this as the next big growth area for us.
Okay. A couple of other global business questions before I come to my final question, Mr. Sinha. One of them is regards to Indonesia. Now, the long stated sale of one of the assets that you had, which is Arutmin. What's happening on the money receivables to Tata Power from that asset? Because I believe some of it has come, but some of it is still pending. Any clarity or any visibility on the nature of the cash flow there? And two, with regards to KPC, would you look to go out and monetize that asset as well?
As far as Arutmin is concerned, we had sold our stake 4 years back, and we were supposed to get $400 million. What happened is that in between the existing promoters of Arutmin went through huge financial crisis, and they could not pay us that money. But in last 6 months, they have paid us something like $50 million, and till now we have got $155 million. We expect that in next 1 year we'll get another $100 million, and there is already a roadmap wherein they would be paying all the balance money. So there has been a lot of progress. We also find that the existing promoters are in a much better financial condition because the cost of imported coal has gone up and their cash flows have improved. So we definitely expect that money will come to us. 100 million maybe in next 1 year, and thereafter the balance 150 million or 145 million. So this is definitely there, and we have commitment of the promoters that they will give us the money. As far as the KPC is concerned, we have 30% stake. The business is doing very good. We get every year the dividend payout from that business. And we do not have immediate plans for selling the KPC stake because it is very directly linked to the coal offtake that we have for Mundra plant. But some of the other investments that we have in other countries like Zambia and South Africa and others, we are definitely trying to consolidate by selling or divesting those stakes. And hopefully in next 1 year, we'll see some good results in that direction.
In fact, part of my next question was going to be that under your predecessor, there was a lot of focus on renewables, Georgia, Africa, a lot of assets that Tata Power got into. I'm guessing there's a change of strategy with you coming at the head. Can you give us some idea about what would happen to that side of the business for Tata Power? Would you expand big or conversely, actually, would you look to get out of it in a faster clip than what people might expect you to?
At one time, we looked at international investment, and that's why we went to South Africa, Zambia, and Georgia. And we thought there are a lot of opportunities over there and we can scale up. Unfortunately, we find that the opportunities are not so much. There are a lot of local challenges over there, and we are not seeing opportunities of scaling up. Meanwhile, what we find that the opportunities in India have improved tremendously, whether it is large scale, utility scale solar or other renewables, including rooftop solar. And we feel that instead of focusing outside, if we focus more in the Indian geography, then we'll be in a much better position to produce better results. So our focus has now shifted from international standalone businesses to India, where we can consolidate and really increase our footprints in different parts of the country.
Are we to presume, Mr. Sinha, my second last question, are we to presume then that asset sales would happen at a faster clip, if indeed you're looking at asset sales of these businesses?
Yes, we are definitely going to look at many of these standalone assets which are in international locations, and we do not have a very strategic plan of growing over there. While we will find that there will be a lot of growth opportunities that we will do within the Indian subcontinent.
Okay. The last strategy question, and then I want your overall view on how do you expect business to be for the next 5 years. But the last strategic question that I would want to ask you is about the non-core holdings. Now, the group at large is trying to do that. I believe the Tata Group, which is get out of select non-core businesses, etc. Tata Power in some small way has already done that. But you do have non-core investments. Tata Sons is probably one, cross holdings in telecom as well. Under your stewardship, do you reckon that you would look to untangle some of these cross holdings and use that money for the tremendous growth opportunities that you're talking about in India, in the power space itself?
Definitely. You have seen that how we have divested from Tata Communications and the defense business and Pantone, and many of the other holdings that we have, which we are not in that core area, we would like to divest. And hopefully in next 1 year, we'll get more clarity in terms of divesting in those businesses. Similarly, there are some of the lands that we have which we are not going to use immediately, or we don't have plans of expanding over there. We'll like to divest some of those investments that we have. So you will see a lot of consolidation that will take place so that we have enough money for the growth plans in future.
Here and now, it could well take a year. There's no timeline that you set for yourself, either for the lands or for the non-core holdings, or have you?
This is work in progress. We've already initiated the process, but we don't want to go and do a desperate sale. So we are looking at valuations and what sort of returns that we can get from them. But it is definitely there, and in next 15 months, you will see a large number of divestments.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, my final question on this interaction is, how do you, as you sit at the helm of Tata Power right now, and looking at the power business in India right now, look at the growth in the business over the next 5 years. You've kind of alluded to it by saying that there are a lot of opportunities, but that did not mean that growth would happen immediately. If somebody's looking at the business from here on till 3 years out, do you reckon that profitable, remunerative, higher ROE growth can happen for an industry leader like you or for some of the other players over the course of the next 3 years at least?
Our existing businesses also give us the right ROE that we expect in an infrastructure business like this. But when we look at future, we definitely are looking at renewables to grow very fast at the utility scale. We are also looking at a large number of rooftop solar. We are looking at going to nearly 100 cities. We are looking at value-added services, whether it is home automation or energy conservation program, or even electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So there are a whole lot of programs that we are doing. We are also expecting to go a large in microgrid solutions in rural areas. So there are a whole lot of projects and proposals that we are examining. And again, in next 3 months to next 15 months, you will see many of these footprints in different parts of the country, and many of them really scaling up to big business that we would do in these sectors.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us at length, I must add, about the industry and about Tata Power as well. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Neeraj, and always a pleasure to speak to you.
Thanks.